Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I actually waited a little bit before I made this video. I didn't want to throw the F word around. I know some of you probably would have liked if I did that, but I want to stay professional with this. And the hate for XRP right now is at a new all-time high. And the Bitcoin Maxis are totally off the rails. Even David Schwartz had to try to end the infighting in the crypto space. He says, we can fight each other or we can align against those who think people shouldn't be allowed to make their own choices. Do we want to repeat the mistake that got us into this mess that Trump is getting us out of? He sees what's going on. Everybody else sees it as well. A lot of these Bitcoin Maxis now are reverting back to a lot of the old FUD. That XRP can never hit high price points unless CBDCs are created all around the world. But XRP works with fiat. It can fix the current financial system. The biggest obstacle for the strategic Bitcoin reserve is not the Fed, Treasury, banks, or Elizabeth Warren. It's Ripple, XRP. They are aggressively lobbying against the SBR. That's that strategic Bitcoin reserve, by throwing around millions at politicians desperately trying to derail it. They did the same to attack Bitcoin mining under the Biden administration. Obviously, they want to protect their marketing narratives and push for CBDCs built on their platform. And Brad Garlinghouse addressed this. Unless you're choosing to ignore the core tenets of President of the United States campaign, which aggressively supports American companies and technologies, our efforts are actually increasing the likelihood of a crypto strategic reserve, which includes Bitcoin, happening. Brad once again taking the high road and even saying that if a strategic reserve was created, it could include Bitcoin. But here's the problem. Bitcoin Maxis are so tribal that they don't care about any other cryptocurrency out there. They only see Bitcoin. I even had people telling me earlier today that XRP is not even a cryptocurrency. It's nothing more than a banker's coin. Blockchain Backer addressed it as well. The XRP FUD is going to go on steroids now that this executive order didn't mention Bitcoin and instead digital assets. Prepare for a full-fledged fight from the FUDsters and trolls. They're coming. Jeremy Hogan. FUD. The XRP army does not succumb to FUD. They were beaten in the heat of the SEC lawsuit, and everyone told them XRP is dead. They starved during the 2021 bull run, and everyone told them XRP is a dinosaur. They sat in the cold of protracted litigation for years, waiting, and everyone told them XRP is a stupid hold. And now they have emerged from the forge, victorious, hard, cold steel. FUD means nothing to them. That was the greatest post I've read all day today. And it is true. We've been through the worst of it as XRP holders, sitting there watching XRP go sideways, and at the same time having these Bitcoin Maxis telling us, get out of XRP and get into Bitcoin if you want to make any money. But then everything turned around once Trump got elected. Now XRP is sitting above $3, and every XRP holder is finally in profit. But I don't blame all the Bitcoin Maxis. I blame their leader, Michael Saylor. Take a listen to this bullshit.
You're going to see that Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Ripple, Cardano, everything down the stack is just a crypto asset security unregistered. None of them will ever be wrapped by a spot ETF. None of them will be accepted by Wall Street. None of them will be accepted by mainstream institutional investors as crypto assets.
He doesn't even see XRP as a crypto asset. He still thinks it's going to be deemed a security by the SEC. And take notice, he said none of them are ever going to be included in an ETF. We already got the ETH ETF. We're going to get the XRP and Solana ETFs as well. Doge even has an ETF coming now. But that's who they listen to. And this guy acts like Bitcoin is the only money on the planet. They even put it, they make it like it's competing with the US dollar. And that's the biggest mistake you can ever make, in my opinion. Once you start saying this competes with the US dollar, right away, people in the United States no longer want to have Bitcoin around. You honestly think the government is going to make a reserve out of something that is so controlled by China? We know about all the illegal activity that goes on around this cryptocurrency as well. You know, most people, and I don't like to say it as much as most people do, but most people look at Bitcoin as a pedo coin all over X. And I see people say it every single day. But Bitcoin was what started all of this. But now we have a better Bitcoin, XRP. Bitcoin is going to become a tokenized asset on these other networks. That's the only way it has a purpose. It's the only way you could ever transact in it. The XRP ledger was created. Its very first use case was to tokenize Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen next? Once they stop lying about not knowing who the 4 Satoshis are, Peter Schiff becomes 1000% right. No use case, and you are no different than a meme coin. Peter Schiff said, "It's funny watching Pompliano on CNBC trying to explain what a meme coin is. The reason it's hard for him to do that is there's no real difference between Trump coin and Bitcoin. So it's a fine line to walk when explaining a meme coin without exposing the same fraud about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no use case. Flair's going to give it utility. If it becomes a tokenized asset on the XRP ledger, it can actually be used inside of transactions. Other than that, the only thing they ever push about it is how it's sitting at $100,000 because it's propped up by fake Tether printed out of thin air and because it's a store of value. But that narrative is shifting. Now XRP is being looked at as a store of value by the institutions. Oh, it's digital gold. Well, now we have actual tokenized gold coming to the XRP ledger. That ends that narrative. All the narratives around Bitcoin are coming to an end. So they got to keep the hype cycle going. And I thought this was a great post because it showed me exactly what's going to happen with Ripple. You may have come across new claims that U.S. states are introducing bills to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is entirely false, distorted by the lying Bitcoin maximalist. All of the bills refer broadly to digital assets and making minimal, if any, mention of Bitcoin specifically. It's clear these states are far more likely to prioritize holding US-based cryptocurrencies like XRP, yet Maxis can handle this reality. And I said, Ripple holds a money transmitter license in every state that mentioned a Bitcoin reserve so far. And it's laughable how they need to keep the hype going to get new retail investors into Bitcoin. What do you think the difference is between Trump coin and Bitcoin? Trump coin runs on hype and Bitcoin runs on hype. But now, made in America cryptocurrencies are becoming a trend. People are starting to say, oh, if I invest in these USA made cryptocurrencies, I might not have to pay capital gains when I cash out. Watch how quick the money shifts if Trump does away with capital gains on US-made cryptocurrencies. It will happen so quick, Bitcoin will plummet in price because the smart money will leave instantly. Goldman Sachs CEO Solomon says, I don't see Bitcoin as a threat to the US dollar. Take a listen.
You know, for a long time, we talked about it, and there was nothing for a bank like Goldman Sachs necessarily to do about it. But I wonder, in an environment where Trump is now talking about a strategic Bitcoin reserve, whether your sort of thought process around how to deal with crypto is going to fundamentally change.
Well, first, you know, and Andrew, we've had this conversation a number of times. The underlying technology is something we spend a lot of time on. Right. It's something that we're utilizing and testing to create less friction in the financial system. Super important. You know, at the moment, from a regulatory perspective, we can't own, we can't principal, right? We can't be involved with Bitcoin.
But Bitcoin, you may be able to soon.
If the world changed, you and I could have a discussion about it.
But you want it to change? Is that something that your lobbyists in Washington would be advocating for?
I don't have a lot to say about, you know, a speculation as to a significant change like that. At the end of the day, I'm a big believer in the U.S. dollar. I think the U.S. dollar is super important. Bitcoin's an speculative asset, an interesting speculative asset. I don't think there's a lot more to say.
Let me ask you about this, though. In an America First world, and we were talking to Brian Armstrong a little bit about this the other day, is Bitcoin a threat to the U.S. dollar? Meaning, if the United States really...
I do not think Bitcoin is a threat to the U.S. dollar. No,
when he said that, I was thinking to myself, he's trying to shift the narrative. Because if you talk to any Bitcoin Maxi, right away they tell you, you don't want to hold US dollars. You want to hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the freedom coin. It helps you break away from the US dollar. I always talk about XRP. I tell you, I would rather hold XRP than hold US dollars. But XRP can actually strengthen the US dollar. It can move it around the world in a matter of seconds for pennies on the dollar. It can fix the current fiat system. Bitcoin just does not have that ability. Bitcoin is only a threat to the US dollar because that narrative was created by Bitcoin Maxis years ago. So they created the same narrative that's keeping Bitcoin away from the United States. That's what I see going on. And then there's this time bomb still ticking. Tether has been under pressure for some time now, and it keeps getting heavier around them. This is what happens when you do not adhere to regulatory guidelines and prudential treatment as set out by the BIS and individual jurisdictions. Bitvavo will delist Tether. This will happen on January 31st, the end of this month. And we're going to see this happen in every other country. This isn't just going to happen in the EU. Other countries are now going to rush to get stablecoin regulations in place because the US is pushing ahead thanks to that executive order. Things are going to turn around very quick. Tether, when it finally collapses, it's going to take the entire space with it, even XRP. But I expect XRP to bounce back very quick. Bitcoin, however, will not bounce back. I don't think we'll ever see Bitcoin at $100,000 ever again. There is so much fake Tether in the price of Bitcoin right now. This has been going on for so many years. Even if they tried to become legit at this point, it's just not possible, in my opinion. Franklin Templeton, CEO, compares crypto to the dot-com era. Once again, somebody else saying 99% of crypto will disappear. Take a listen.
Really important to think of blockchain as a technology, as a programming language, right? That does certain things really well. I do think that it's likely that ETFs and mutual funds will ultimately be built on blockchain just because it's an incredibly efficient technology. And then there's the crypto world, some of which I think has tremendous opportunity, and some of which I think it'll be noise. It'll be a little bit like the dot-com era when, eventually you had some of the biggest companies of the next decade that came out of it, and then you had a lot that kind of blew away to the side. And so I think the crypto world is similar. I think the thing with the Trump administration is we're going to start to see them converge more, the TradFi and the crypto, which is something that we need. We need to have some sort of regulatory clarity so that you can bring these together, because fundamentally it will drive out costs, and there is great innovation that the technology enables.
So if it doesn't have a use case, it most likely will disappear with regulations. That's what she's saying. And even with TradFi and DeFi coming together, you have to have regulations in place. And that's what's going to cause the crash to happen. We're going to see a handful of cryptocurrencies really excel, and we're going to see most of cryptocurrencies disappear at the same time. But when I talked in this video today, I didn't want to say anything really hateful towards Bitcoin, because like I said, it did start all of this, but it's becoming something of the past. It's never going to get adoption, because if you can't transact in it and it doesn't solve a real world problem, who the hell really is going to use it going forward? And then you got to expect the crash and then 4 years of waiting for it to run back up. But I think the 4-year cycles are also going to end with utility. I just don't want to see retail investors, people that work a 9-to-5 job, get stuck in Bitcoin by listening to all these people and their hype. Because 99% of everything you hear about Bitcoin right now is hype. And you could debunk all of that hype with a quick search. I mean, they're even saying now that every single state is going to have just a Bitcoin only reserve. Does that make sense to any of you? No. These states are going to want to hold something that they could actually utilize to fix the state's economy. Think about all those money transmitter licenses that Ripple has, and these states sending money very fast and very cheap. That solves a major problem. It builds up that state's economy. What are they going to do? Stockpile Bitcoin, and the crash is coming. I think Bitcoin has one last move up, and then it's going to start to break down. And we're going to move into full-blown alt season. XRP is going to have an epic run. But then what? These states bought Bitcoin. Now it crashed. Now they got to wait 4 years for the price to go back up. And they're going to hold all that debt that they're sitting in now for 4 years. That doesn't make sense at all. That's why I don't see these reserves happening. I think the reserves sound great to new investors investing in Bitcoin. And I think it's bringing a lot of new investors in thinking, okay, well, the U.S. government's going to buy up all this Bitcoin and the price is going to skyrocket. But if that doesn't happen, then what? The crash happens on Bitcoin, and then they're stuck in it, or they sell at a loss. And that's who I look out for. I could care less if Michael Saylor loses money, Larry Fink loses money. I care about the guy who goes to work, works hard, hoping to make a lot of money off of investing in crypto. I don't want to see that guy stuck in an asset. And what are you going to get at this point? Not even a 2x on your investment with Bitcoin. You take that same money and put it into XRP right now, and you could easily expect a 10x, and that's conservative, very conservative. You'll get a 10x. Bullish, you're going to get a 100x, because this run is going to be absolutely incredible. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.